What's up guys? So I had the opportunity to finally be able to use the new EOS R6 and that's what we're gonna be talking about today. Alright, so the new EOS R6. It has been the topic for a lot of people. It has been the debate whether you should go for the new R6, the new R5, or even not go for either one and go for the T7, the Sony a7S III. I'm going to tell you my 1 week experience with this camera. I've used it for everything since it has become my new main camera. I can't show it to you because it's my main camera, but it's also my only camera. I'm recording everything with the new EOS R6 in 4K 23 FPS, so let me know how it looks. So let's get into it. Of course, a little bit of background just so that you know where I come from when I tell you stuff. The first thing is I am mainly a photographer, so this is going to be a photographer's perspective. This camera is meant to be used by me, especially for photography. I use it to make a little bit of video if it's a contract for a paid client or for YouTube. But other than that, I don't make a lot of videos. Alright, so a little bit of background. I started using the Rebel T3i. This is my first DSLR camera and this was the first camera that I started using to take pictures in a more professional way. After that, I upgraded to the 5D Mark III, and a few months later, I decided to sell that 5D Mark III and upgrade to the 5D Mark IV since I thought that it had better things that I wanted. I stopped with the 5D Mark IV for 3 years until the R6 and the R5 came out, at which point I pre-ordered the R6 because I thought that it was a better camera for me. Alright, so now my experience. When I bought this camera, what I thought that I was going to experience is first of all, this is the first time that I've used a mirrorless camera. So it was a complete transition for me. Now I have a flip screen that I'm able to use to see myself when I record these types of videos. Like right now, I can see that I'm in frame, that I'm in the middle, and pretty much it's great. I love that. The second thing, of course, is the size of the camera. Because it's a mirrorless camera and you don't have the mirror inside, you have a lot of components that the DSLRs have, so it's a smaller body, and of course it's a little bit lighter. To me, I think that it's a little bit of a downside, that because when you record, since it's lighter, it's easier to move the camera around and shake it a little bit. Alright, so now the main thing. Of course, everyone has been talking about the overheating problems that the R6 and the R5 have, and I wanted to test that. So the first thing that I did is when I got the camera, I charged the battery, I put on the lens, and I went outside, and my plan was to record until the camera would overheat, to see how much time would I get in 4K 23 FPS and what would be my limitations. To my surprise, there weren't any at the moment because my card filled completely before I had a chance to actually get to the camera overheating. I have a 32, I believe, yeah, 32 gigabyte SD card, and the other SD card that I had broke. I had no way to actually test really if the overheating was a problem and what would I do after the camera would overheat and then I would have to turn it off and then on again. How much time would I get then? It doesn't matter. I'm going to make a video in the future, in the really near future, see exactly what are the limitations that I have. Alright, so regarding the overheating problems, I didn't have any at the moment. From a photographer perspective, it hasn't been a problem whatsoever. I've had no issues whatsoever. I've took many photos. I did 3 specific photo shoots in 3 types of conditions, one later at night, one in a cloudy day, and one in a sunny day. And in the 3 times, the camera performed perfectly. There were no problems whatsoever. It was amazing. There were no overheating issues, nothing, no alarms, no nothing. And when we're talking about, once again, photography and the pictures that I take, a lot of people were concerned because this is a 20 megapixel sensor, and the 5D Mark IV, the 5D Mark III, and the EOS R, even the 6D Mark II all have higher megapixel sensors. So a lot of people were concerned because although a higher megapixel count is not everything, it does affect the image in some kind of way, and it sometimes can limit you in the things that you can do. For example, if you do extreme cropping, 20 megapixels compared to a 35, a 45, or a 65 can make a lot of difference. I was also skeptical of the same thing. Of course, I'm going to leave in the description down below a few images that I took this past week, so that you guys can see for yourselves if the dynamic range is good, if you can zoom, how much of quality you lose, and all of those good questions that I'm pretty sure that you want to know. But to me, they were perfectly fine. I had no problems whatsoever with the quality of the images. I liked the images a lot, and there was a tiny drop in quality. Of course, it's a given. You're going from a 30 megapixel sensor from most people because they are going from a EOS R or a 5D Mark IV to the R6, but it's not a noticeable drop in quality. Now, I was really skeptical because my main focus is to take pictures. I'm a photographer first, so photography is something really important to me. When I took my pictures, I was pleasantly surprised to see that there wasn't a huge difference or a noticeable difference when it came to quality of the image. The R6, even though it has a 20 megapixel sensor, it's an amazingly good camera. To tell you the truth, this is a great thing that I did. I was really afraid because I got so used to using the 5D Mark IV that I was afraid that this would be not a downgrade, but it would be too much of a jump. I wouldn't get used to it, I wouldn't like it, and no, I had no problems at all. So in conclusion, what I have to say about this camera is that it does feel different compared to a 6D or a 5D Mark IV. The bodies are different, it's going to be lighter. It's a different feeling, but of course it's a different body, it's a completely different beast. It's a mirrorless camera, so now you get access to the RF glass. So in my opinion, if you have a DSLR and you are looking to upgrade, if you're a hybrid shooter like me, you do a lot of photos or some photos and some video, I think that this is a really great camera for you. If your main goal is to actually take pictures, only pictures, and you focus a lot on printing your work, you do a lot of changes to your image, in which case you zoom in a lot, you crop your images a lot, all of that, and you have a 30 megapixel sensor, well, I don't really see the point on upgrading other than changing from a DSLR to a mirrorless camera. But at that point, maybe the EOS R would be a better fit for you, since it has a higher megapixel sensor. If it was me and if I had to buy a camera for just photography, I would go for the EOS R, which has a 30 megapixel sensor. It's the same sensor as the 5D Mark IV, I believe, don't quote me on that, but I would go for that. And yeah, you would have only one SD card slot, but I mean, we can deal with that. But if you are a hybrid photographer, you have a DSLR and you want to upgrade, you don't mind the downgrade of megapixels, well, I mean, by all means, this is a completely amazing beast. I haven't tested the R5 and I will do in a while only, but to me this camera is great for your average shooter, for your average pro photographer, for people that do only photography. This is an amazing camera. 20 megapixel sensor, although it sounds small, you get a really good quality image, so don't be afraid just because it's a lower megapixel sensor. But like I said before, if you're satisfied with your EOS R and you're only looking to upgrade because everyone is upgrading, well, maybe you can stay with your EOS R a little bit more and spend those $1,000 extra on a new lens, a new glass, new stuff that would help you do your things. But for photographers, for mainly photographers, I would stick with the EOS R. This is a fantastic camera. I love this camera, I'm in love with it. I have no problems whatsoever up until now. Everything can change, of course, but at the moment, my opinion is this is a great camera. If you're looking to upgrade, I would go for this camera. So that's what I had to say about this camera. Remember, this is my review after 1 week only, so I don't have a lot of things to say because I've only used it for a week, and of course as time goes I will be able to experience a lot more things with this camera, and I will let you know in the future if something changes. So that's going to be it for me, guys. I hope this was useful for you, and if you're looking to upgrade, please think about everything that I just said, because you have to find the camera that is good for you. And it doesn't matter that this is the new good thing. If you don't need the specs, you shouldn't pick this camera. You should go for something cheaper, like I said before. Alright, so gonna stop talking. I talked a lot. It's pretty much starting to get cold, so enjoy the last bits of summer. Go play outside, go take pictures and video, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Bye bye.